the first civilizations and developed the earliest forms of controlled agriculture, right? So that's what we call the Fertile Crescent when I was in school. That's what they called it, Mesopotamia. And of course, all these areas are adjacent, right? And they're all cultivating these lands and learning these new techniques. Unfortunately, much like the first child, the Mesopotamian region got all the mistakes too. So we did torture that land till it was no good anymore. And a lot of it is arid wasteland. Now, not all of it, and some of it's been restored even with proper land management, which is great. But there's some, the diversity that this area once had will never get back. We'll never have a place where there's lions and tigers and bears all together again. We'll never have elephants and bison. And I say bison, they're Winzit. Same genus, the European name for them, Winzit. We'll never have a place where they're up side by side. Ostriches in the Middle East and things like that. We'll never have that again. But it was once this beautiful garden of Eden. That's the funny part, is that it was diverse and it did die out. So there is a sort of poetic narrative there that we can say that these people thought they were living in the end times. They once had all this diversity in wildlife that there's only folk memories of now, and that there's rumors that they still live far off, right? And their crops were not growing. There was desertification and climate change and dust storms and insect plagues, and it was they thought they were living in the end times, and it makes sense that they thought that. So all this stuff is apocalyptic that they're writing about.
The wicked men in the past who have seen the natural oil reserves, they've seen the closeness to the river Euphrates, and they also have tried to rebuild Babylon, and every single one of them has failed until now. Okay, I can hear you loud and clear. You're saying to me, hasn't the ancient city of Babylon already fallen? Hasn't it already collapsed?
Twice.
You're right. Jeremiah said it would, and as the prophet said,
2 times.
It came to pass. But listen guys, I actually do believe it will fall a second time. How that looks, I don't know. But there's one thing I do know. The Bible warns us of this.
Hold on, I got the dates.
Then I heard...
That's Rome. I believe, Yeah, Rome. Under Roman expansion in 116. To be part of the newly conquered province of Mesopotamia. People don't realize that, and I used that term myself when I was describing the crescent of human life, or cradle of human life. I used Mesopotamia, and that was the Roman name for the region when they conquered it. It's not like the old-timey name for it or anything. Of course, Hadrian had his hands in it too. Hadrian was all about Roman expansion, not just into the UK. There was some Muslim conquest in the 7th century. It's been, fallen and risen, and these are called the Neo-Babylonian Empire, and then there was the Middle Babylonian Empire and the Old Babylonian period. And each time it collapsed and fell and rose under new rulers. But, land like that doesn't just go unclaimed. So someone's always going to own the land that was Babylon. So maybe your claim is that it'll never die. We'll see.
And another voice from heaven say, come out of her, my people, so that you will not share in her sins. Babylon is mentioned 294 times in the Bible. It's the second most named city after Jerusalem. But every time Babylon is named, it's always in the negative.
Wonder why that is. Could it be the thing I just talked about at the beginning of I'm gonna call this the podcast, I guess, at the beginning of the show? Because I was trying something that I watched on, I was watching Kenny Biddle last night, and he had, crap, what was his name? Some of you all over there? Orge was there. But, they were talking about, I always call my channel like a debunking channel, but pre-bunking. Pre-bunking is what I actually do. I try to get ahead of it. But that's why I could lay down that narrative about Babylon and the history of Babylon and the land of Canaan and all that, so that it would be understood why they had such a negative view of Babylonian culture.
There's always a warning against its evilness, and today I want to prove to you that every single one of you has in some way been polluted by Babylon, and here are the 4 warning signs that it's time for you to come out of her before the Lord Jesus Christ makes her fall. The first sign,
get your checklist ready, beauties and bees.
that you've been polluted by Babylon is that you are obsessed with money. There are some people who cannot sleep because they're thinking about their stocks and shares. There are some people who the first thing they do is they check their cryptocurrency, and the last thing they do at night is check to see how much money they've made. Now I want to say something so I'm not misunderstood. There is nothing wrong with prospering. If the Lord is
I do not spend a lot of time worrying about money. Probably not enough time. I actually probably should do more of that.
blessed you and made you wealthy, that is not a sin. But where it does become a sin is where you are constantly thinking about money, and only you know yourself whether God has become so small, so little in your life, and money is all you think about, is all that consumes you. And I am sad to say that even preachers today have been polluted by the love of money. There are ministers today, just like that wicked prophet Balaam, who use the gifts that God has given them